How to access a serial port that is physically attached to your VC-4 server. Crestron's VC-4 Virtual Control Processor is a software package that allows you to run Crestron Automation Processor on a Linux server. It has the functionality of a physical Crestron processor, except there are no local I/O ports for serial, infrared, low voltage inputs or outputs, or relay closures. To add I/O ports to a VC-4 installation, Crestron has a wide variety of devices available. But VC-4 does not support any local ports that might be physically present on the server itself. Unix and derivatives, however, have an ingrained philosophy of software as tools. From the dark ages, when Unix was spawned from the frustration of Multics and other large operating systems that existed on mainframes, Unix was meant to be nimble and flexible. System programs on Unix systems were usually designed so they could accept input from other programs and output the results to other programs. Those are often called standard in and standard out. For example, cat is the standard program for reading input, typically a file, and writing it, typically to the terminal. So running the command cat readme.txt would output the contents of the file readme.txt to your terminal window. Pipes are operators in Unix that connect the standard output of one program to the standard input of another. They're usually represented by a vertical bar. And grep looks for a string within a file. So cat, pipes, and grep are tools which can be combined. Running cat on a file, piping its output to grep, which will read the file as standard input, and providing mouse as the parameter to grep, will search the file for that string mouse. There are simpler ways to do the same thing, but this gives us an example of tying tools together using pipes. In Unix, there was also the concept of special file entries which existed within a special directory, a specific directory, usually /dev. File systems or I/O devices could be accessed through those special files, including serial ports. While modern servers often don't have RS-232 ports directly, they will usually have multiple USB ports. We can use a USB to serial adapter to give us a serial port. VC-4 does not have the ability to access those devices. As a virtual control processor, it is devoid of physical ports except for Ethernet. And through Ethernet, we can give it access to physical ports on the host machine. In the early days of Crestron home automation, it was not uncommon to have many devices that lacked Ethernet ports. For example, you might have a job with an old third-party lighting system that lacked Ethernet. These needed to be controlled through serial ports. There were companies that made boxes that had an Ethernet and an RS-232 port, so you could remotely connect to a serial-only device. We're going to do the same thing on Linux. Make that USB serial adapter show up as an Ethernet device that can be reached from our VC-4 instance. Using a network version of cat called SOCAT, we'll set up a TCP/IP port and tie it to that serial adapter. If you don't already have SOCAT, run yum install SOCAT to install the package. You'll need to be root or use the sudo command to raise privileges. The command to tie TCP/IP port 12345 to our serial adapter is shown here. For production, you'd want to set it up so the command runs through init.d or systemctl so it is automatically started or restarted as needed. Any specific baud rate or serial parameters would be set using the SOCAT options. For an example, we've added a small demo available on GitHub at the address shown that consists of a simple program containing a module for serial control of a Denon receiver and an X panel for testing. The key part of the simple program is just a TCP/IP client using port 12345 and using the loopback address 127001 for connectivity. In Simple Sharp, you can do the same thing.